So recently, there's been a few reports around some underlying tensions between Trump and Netanyahu in their relationship, primarily over different priorities concerning the Middle East policy. But they had a meeting at Mar-a-Lago and everything seems to be hunky-dory after that, or so they say. Their interaction kind of showed some mutual praise and some unity, and they made it look all nice for the public and everything. But there are several strains in a lot of the interactions between Trump and Netanyahu lately, and I want to talk about a few of those because I don't believe that an awful lot of them got straightened out in this meeting. All right. One of the big policy differences they have is what's happening in Gaza. Now, the U.S., Trump, he's pushing to advance the agreement on into phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire plan, which he brokered, of course, and which requires Hamas to disarm and for Israeli forces to pull back even further than they already have, and to institute steps to begin reconstruction and governance of Gaza. Now, a lot of White House advisors believe that Netanyahu's kind of slow walking this process due to pressure from far-right coalition partners who resist withdrawals without full Hamas defeat. And Israel's been very reluctant without guarantees on disarmament, and they would prefer a full Hamas defeat. But there's broader regional issues involved in this as well. Tensions exist over Israel's actions in Syria and their actions in Lebanon against Hezbollah as well. And there's potential new strikes on Iran that Netanyahu's looking at. And Trump's kind of starting to grow wary of all of this, all of these moves that Israel's making that could complicate broader peace efforts. Trump is trying to do something over there with the Abraham Accords, and he's trying to bring peace into the area. And it almost seems as if Benjamin Netanyahu's kind of working against that. And, their relationships had some strains before. I mean, after October 7th, Trump kind of criticized Netanyahu a little bit. And then, whenever Netanyahu was congratulating Biden in 2020 after pulling out of Afghanistan, there were some tensions there. But Trump is, historically been pro-Israel. But they had this meeting at Mar-a-Lago, and publicly, basically, you've kind of seen the news, they exchanged a lot of praise for each other. Netanyahu was kind of warming up to him. In my opinion, Netanyahu's kind of kissing his ass and awarded him the Israeli Peace Prize, which is the first time it's ever been given to a non-Israeli, and in their new peace category. And Trump called Netanyahu a wartime hero. He pushed for his pardon, and they presented a united front against pressuring Hamas. Even President Trump said there will be hell to pay if they don't disarm. There was warnings against Iran on any new strikes that they may have in mind, or even trying to rebuild their nuclear or their ballistic missile program. And Trump said the U.S. would support any strikes should that happen. So basically, the outcome of their meeting was no new news, right? I mean, it's much ado about nothing. There's no major new announcement on the Gaza process. Trump kind of downplayed his concerns about that, but, he's wanting to get this moving and get the ball rolling forward on that. He says he's not concerned about their pace, but he is. And, they discussed Iran, Syria, West Bank issues, and Trump's not real happy about some of the settler violence that's going on, but they insisted that they're lockstep, they said, overall. Now, several analysts will describe this as a papering over of differences, and I believe that that's true. I believe that this is smoke and mirrors to make it all look good, make it look like Israel is the White House's greatest friend and all of that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of strategic gaps that are still in play here, especially as Trump prioritizes wanting his quick wins, for his peace plan, while Netanyahu's kind of navigating domestic politics, and trying to get all he can get out of Trump and out of the U.S. while he can. Now, the overall relationship status hasn't soured in a dramatic sense, but there's not been any open fallout or anything like that. But there are a reported number of frictions behind the scenes that could grow if Gaza stalls, or if Iran, rears its ugly head and that whole thing escalates any further. And this kind of is in alignment with the timing of Iran's rhetoric, which just a couple of days before Bibi went to Mar-a-Lago, President of Iran, what's his name, Masoud Pezeshkian, I'm not going to butcher his name. The president of Iran stated in an interview that was published on the website of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei that Iran is engaged in a full-fledged war, total war, or comprehensive war with the United States, Israel, and Europe. Now, he described this as a multifaceted conflict involving various different things like economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation, military pressures, internal destabilization efforts, and, making it a more complex war similar to the 1980 to 88 Iran-Iraq war, or maybe even more complicated. I mean, some of the quotes he said here was, "In my opinion, we are in a full-fledged war with America, Israel, and Europe." He accused them of trying to bring our country to its knees, and he warned that any renewed attacks on Iran, referring to the prior attacks in the summer, that they would meet a more divisive response, claiming that Iran's military is now stronger than it's ever been. Now, back in the summer, whenever we bombed Fordo and a few of their other nuclear facilities and everything, that 12-day conflict, reportedly caused over 1,000, Iranian deaths, and Iran's nuclear program was set back, but some say not as far back as Trump and everybody claims that it is. So he put out these statements just before Netanyahu went over to Mar-a-Lago, and of course his comments are basically rhetoric. They're escalation rhetoric. He's not really gearing up for war. He's not really in a position to gear up for war. Pro-Iranian outlets even they are saying that it's, just a defensive defiance, that it's not, a real actual declaration of war. And, just something to kind of throw a monkey wrench into the Western-Israeli alliance, and it's really just provocative bluster, basically. But it has broader implications, of course. There's a notable perception that Netanyahu is strategically maximizing U.S. military, financial, and diplomatic support amid concerns that Trump's new national security strategy, the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, we had a video about that. I'll leave the links down below. But that we could, in America, could pivot to a more isolationist America First stance on reducing foreign entanglements, which is what the America First movement is about and what the Trump corollary is about. So a lot of people think that Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to get all he can get out of us while he can get it. And, it's kind of give an inch, but take a mile kind of thing, where Israel's pushing for expansive commitments like increased aid, like arms deals, like, backing other political actions against Iran before any U.S. retrenchment, limits any advantages that Israel has in the future. And there's, a lot of key evidence to this as well. Netanyahu's got urgency in his request for aid and for the MOUs. The report highlights basically that Netanyahu's pushing for a new expanded memorandum of understanding on U.S. aid to Israel, potentially spanning 20 years to carry them up to their centennial year as a country. Critics are saying that there's a lot of grift involved here. There's a lot of ass kissing going on, such as the Israeli Peace Prize and those kinds of things like that. And he's trying to grift his way into billions of dollars, before Trump is less amenable. So there's perceived isolation of money time. Netanyahu's domestic and international pressures his Mar-a-Lago visit, it's all seen as a critical window to secure Trump's unconditional backing before potential fatigue sets in over prolonged forever wars. Because the closer we get, every time we get somewhere, Israel turns around and they do something. They do something militarily, trying to keep us in, trying to keep us locked into, their conflicts, and which is why we need to get them out of our laws and get them out. I've got videos about that as well that we've done. See past episodes. I'll leave those links down in the comments as well. Netanyahu's kind of itching to escalate everything against Iran's missile programs, and he's using that meeting at Mar-a-Lago to try to gain U.S. approval, if not direct involvement, for any new strikes that are coming up, framing it as deterrence. But a lot of people are actually kind of framing it as blackmail. I see it as blackmail or extortion, of commitments from Trump. But in the past, United States strategies of unconditional support are cited as, enabling Bibi's assertiveness here. Bibi kind of fears that Trump might initially continue with the agreements, but then, crawfish and pull back out of them, prompting Netanyahu to kind of cash in now on anything that he can get. And the feeling of all this is kind of more pronounced here in the America First crowd, where it's kind of portrayed as, Bibi's being exploitative, right? Where the pro-Israel voices, they say that it's more of a mutual strategic alignment kind of thing. And Netanyahu's I think he's trying to offer some cheap wins to win Trump over. However you want to look at it, even if you look at it with neutral eyes, you can see that Netanyahu's actions are showing an awareness of his window being closed before Trump's national security statutes and the emphasis on burden sharing and withdrawing from forever wars kicks in. And that's one of the kind of things that Netanyahu fears at this particular moment in time. So anyway, thanks for listening to me today.
You're listening to Uncle Sam Saves America, a patriotic show for the average Joe.